You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter. Forgive me, I'm actually adjusting my mic the second I go on the air. You know what? Actually, I wasn't. This is Walter from iWalter. It is actually January 22nd. It is 2:30 in the morning. I wasn't going to do a show because you know what? After I was done yesterday doing my show, or my program, whatever you want to call it, from last night, it ended up being like 3 hours by myself, no breaks, no, straight through. So, I was figuring, okay, most of my shows this week have been, when I do them, are like 2 hours, hour and a half, a little over 3 hours last night. I got to give myself even a break. I can't just keep on doing this, especially when I go back to work. So, for one thing, I never got a call back from this doctor, and I was, giving this doctor the benefit of the doubt. I already shredded up, so I don't even know their name. For the psych evaluation test, I need to go back to work. And, me, I try to keep an open mind about people, believe it or not. It doesn't show on my show because I'm always complaining about minorities and everything else. But, I would take what I say with a grain of salt. Actions, that old saying, actions speak louder than words, are pretty much who I am with, the stuff I discuss. But I think this woman that was supposed to give me the psych test, this psychologist, actually proved me right. So despite my sarcasm and saying, well, maybe she, acting a little bit immature and, maybe the reason she's not calling me back, it's just a typical thing I see with a lot of women in the past that I've had to deal with or have dealt with on a professional level, that they, pretend to be professional, but they're really not. And, I've encountered that with, men who, suffer from perpetual adolescence, but I see it also more so with women, oh, I'm professional, but then you act like, you're still in high school. So that being said, and I have a story to kind of back up my point as well. So that's why I figured there are some other things too, but this story just really grasped my attention. She never calls back after a couple days, and I deliberately left 2 phone numbers she can reach me at just to let me know, hey, I was recommended to you that I call you, and I thought it was my job that told me to do this. It was a different doctor who suggested I call her and set up an appointment. So she never calls back. I gave her the benefit of the doubt because, they're scaring everybody about this upcoming this upcoming blizzard, which I think it's going to be a joke. I'll be surprised if it actually turns out even remotely as harsh as what the news has been leading people to believe. I mean, it's every single time this happens, and you think by now I'm like, basically ignoring this whole thing, because the worst thing ever happened, you're going to get snowed in for about approximately 8 hours at tops, maybe possibly a whole day, but I doubt that. And we've had some bad snowstorms, but they never kept you in more than one day. And some people just go outdoor in the snow and cause more havoc on the roads. So, and we have a grocery market from where I live, like literally in walking distance. So that wouldn't be a problem either way. Now we have adjoining neighborhoods to take you directly through. Like before, when I was growing up, there was no neighborhoods adjoining to the towards where you can get food or get out of the house. It used to be all fields. Now it's all, one neighborhood after another. So you're not even walking on any treacherous roads. You're walking through developments. So, but literally tonight, I just wanted to get a few snacks in case I do get snowed in for a few hours. And believe it or not, it was like Raisinets and trail mix. If I'm going to get stuck eating inside the house, I'll make sure I eat at least, if I'm going to be gorging on something, it's going to be something better than candy. So going back to what I was going to say about this doctor who's supposed to give me an evaluation, she never calls back. I gave her the benefit of the doubt that, hey, maybe it's just because of this upcoming blizzard that they're scaring everybody with. Well, guess what? I get a call from my main doctor that she, I call that gutless and, very unprofessional. She calls him to call me and said, well, I no longer offer those services for the test that I needed. So it's like, I gave you 2 phone numbers. I said, listen, this is pertaining to my job. I really appreciate you getting back to me. And, she was so callous, she actually had my doctor call. She called another doctor to call my house. And, and I'm like thinking to myself, God, I was just being really sarcastic about this woman, but unfortunately, I was right on the nose, right on the button on, women thinking that, hey, you're asking something in your field as a professional, you need an answer back, and they play this game that you're asking them out for a date. So, and that's precisely what it comes down to. And, you're probably thinking, well, you're just really jumping to conclusions. Well, this is where, it was like, okay, I was going to let it ride until I read some story on a professional, a young woman at the age of 30 acting exactly the way I described this psychologist, and the exact same mind frame probably. So it almost proves my point that, yeah, I hate to say it, and I was hoping I was wrong, but you got a lot of people, and I hate to say this, from the female side, who act like overgrown children, like they take temper tantrums and stuff, and they're quote unquote professionals. Now, what I'm about to read will kind of prove my point on even this lady. It was on the Daily Mail, but this actually happened in Florida, so it happened in the U.S., this story. And I don't know if it's titled this, but it says, I'll do whatever and it's blurred out on the Daily UK, but this actually, again, came from Florida about some, technically a woman, because she's like 30 years old. I got to find my glasses real quick. I have them right here. And she's supposed to be like some doctor. She's like literally considered a doctor of some sort. And I think like a neurologist. So that was kind of ironic. So it's like it couldn't prove my point any better. So I don't think I'll read this whole thing, but it was just, okay, for once I like to prove myself wrong, but instead it goes the other direction. It proves myself right, where a woman always just takes this, not all the time, but take this low road of shallow-mindedness and conceitedness. And this story just proved this. It's, well, actually one of the title, I already have the story up, but it was a title. They actually posted it somewhere else. Revealed drunk Miami woman 30. Again, she is like, I think, if I remember correctly, because I read this all the way through, I think she was a neurologist, and she made a total scene in Florida. Basically, it says, I'll do, quote unquote, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Shocking video shows female reveal an attack on this company. It's called Uber driver. Basically what it is, it's like a hired out service. It's like a professional, almost like a taxi service. You call them up if you work for a business and you get a ride. So anyway, shocking video shows female revealing attack Uber driver when he refuses to take her fare before she climbs into the car and empties contents of on to the sidewalk. Like, she literally throws everything out. It appears that she kicked the inside or the one side door completely in. And it was like the girl was saying, well, the guy was basically asking for police. He said, he was there with his service from this Uber company to pick up somebody else, not this particular girl, but she felt that the world should revolve around her. God, I've said that so many times, and I seem like I feel like I'm being a jerk from half the stuff I say. Somebody videotapes the whole entire thing, or at least most of it, and you can see like she heavily knocked into one door, and her defense was, well, I'm only 100 pounds. I'm a female, and I'm only 5 foot tall. Yeah, I'm a real threat to you. The guy like basically asked for police. He finally called the police, but she totally trashed this car that does this service from Uber. And, then she's crying, oh, I'll get my license taken away and everything as a doctor. It's like, well, you should have thought about that before you acted like an overgrown child. So it just kind of proves my point on how women do get away with a lot, because she was able to cry, and the guy from the taxi service, he said, listen, I just want the damage fixed. He had a cell phone, because I guess that's how they communicate. He said, I want the damages fixed, and he said, I won't press charges. Like, dude, I would have pressed charges. She like literally totaled the side of your car. She trashed the inside. She threw out all like this paperwork that receipts or whatever he prints out when he picks up clientele and drops them off where they need to go. So, hey, if it was me flipping out like that in a situation exactly like hers, I would have found myself behind bars, and it would have pressed as charges extremely heavy on me. Because you know what? I had a similar, well, not that kind of incident, but I had an incident down in Philly where I accidentally tapped an off-duty officer, who's in his street clothes. And I didn't know he was a cop. And it was like I was trying to find someplace. I think it was when I was trying to go for my set up and look for to go to college at Hahnemann Hospital. I wanted to do, basically, it was originally when I went to college, I was going to go for being a mental health technician. And, I heard that Hahnemann was a really good hospital to look into for as far as your education, if you want to go that route. So I'm down in Philadelphia. This was a long time ago. It was like 20-some years ago. And I couldn't find a place. I was really, confused about these roads. And I accidentally, it was not even a tap. It was just like a pure accident. Didn't even cause any harm. But, it's one of those things you're trying to back in, or I think pulling out of space, and you tap like the bumper of some guy's car, and this guy's an off-duty officer. And I don't know if I should say this, but it was true. The guy seemed really nice. He was, quote unquote, because I was there. I was the one that had to converse with the guy. He was an African American. And he basically said, he says, yeah, I know you didn't mean this. I understand. He says, don't worry about it. I'm off duty right now, but I'm a cop. Don't worry about it. So I said, oh, really? Okay. I said, but, sue you or anything like that. You don't have any worries about that. So, automatically, because I'm very anal about stuff, when I got out of Philly, I never ended up going to Hahnemann to, look into the school there, because it's actually at the hospital. The school's actually, your classes are taught actually at the hospital itself in Philadelphia. I quickly ran home, and I forget what car I owned at that point, because I owned many cars. I went right to my insurance company, and before I even walked through the door, they said, "Hey, are you Walter?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, yeah, the guy you just tapped on, he basically is going to try to press charges and sue you." And we talked to him, and it's like, you really don't have any case because you didn't do any damage to his car. The guy was just trying to look for a quick buck. And he was an off-duty officer in Philly. So there you go. You look at this video that's on, it's plastered everywhere else, too, about this girl. From quote, and I'm using the quotation marks with my fingers right now. They just dropped everything. They said, we're not going to push any charges because if they do, she's going to lose her license and everything else as a doctor. And she's a very attractive girl. And they described her as having a red shirt on and extremely tight white shorts. That's the way it was described in the article. And she was stone drunk, and she's flipping out on some guy demanding that he needs to give her a ride when it was a special private service, this Uber company, that you have to request, and it's, ran for people from companies to do this. Causes a total outburst, trashes the car, kicks the door in. They don't show that on the video, but I can tell that's from her. She throws everything out of his car, everything on the ground, thrown out the windows. Tell him, listen, you fucking asshole, you need to get in here now, and you need to take me where I want to go. And, the guy says, I'm not going to press any charges. Me, I tap a car, do no damage. And the insurance company said, he's not going to be able to push any charges because you didn't do any damage to his car. You tapped it, and, cars back then weren't as feeble, as you couldn't damage him as easily as you can now. I mean, a gust of wind now could cause your car door to buckle in. But back then, the cars were made even much better than they are now. So anyway, I'll read a little bit more of this. It's a shocking video. Female revealing attacking Uber driver. It's all on video too. I didn't do anything near this to get the kind of backlash I got from this cop down in Philly years ago, when he refuses to take her fare before she climbs into the car and empties the contents on the onto the sidewalk. It says the young woman started attacking the driver when he refused to take her fare. Again, this is a service you got to request. She punched and kicked him while shouting, I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do, or whatever the fuck I want. And a bystander filmed and got into a bystander filmed as she got into the car and emptied the contents into the street. Police arrived, but the driver chose to take the money rather than press the charges. So there again, it's just kind of giving you a little bit of a brief statement what happened, because if you read the actual article, it said that the guy didn't want to press any charges because this girl was putting on the Teary-Eye Act and say, I'll lose my license. And she's actually up for the company the place she worked at, some hospital, was going through, because they saw this video was plastered on YouTube by the person who videotaped it. She's in the process. She could lose her, is in the process of getting fired. And she should. So they even said she was putting on a fight and started kicking and cursing at the cops. I mean, that alone will get you jail time, because I know I flipped out at a cop years ago, and they pulled out the billy clubs. They told me, called me a punk, put me down on the ground and handcuffed me, and I ended up a night in jail. So, why do you have to pedal? And I wasn't even as bad as this woman was. Because I'm trying to get to the point where she just flips out even on the cops. But yeah, you can see the whole video. It explains a lot how this girl is just like cursing, ripping this car apart, literally, and flipping out. And anyway, I'm trying to look for that part. Yeah, it says they did handcuff her, the cops, and they said she tried kicking one of the police officers on the scene. She was flipping out again. And she only finally calmed down when, the realization set in, like, wait a minute, I'm going to lose my job over this. I'm never going to be working in this field again. And here it does say it was only when she was put into the police car that she started crying, apologizing, and claiming that she would lose her medical license. She claimed to be a neurologist, and if she got arrested, she basically would lose her license. She would never be able to work in that field again. And personally, I wouldn't want this woman even remotely close to me. If she's a neurologist and they let her get away with this, I mean, and she flips out like that, do you want this woman touching you? I mean, not necessarily. I don't care how hot she is. She'll probably end up killing you. She could flip out and kill somebody. I mean, she almost literally, she did physically assault this taxi driver guy, whatever you want to call him, this service that they have. Now, I saw her, again, her picture is, sorry, I don't mean to be blowing into my mic. There's pictures of her just really acting out on other links on this same woman. Like literally, like she's like a real party girl. And she's 30 years old. She's supposedly a professional, and she's a neurologist. She's probably making into, like, obviously, probably over $100,000 a year for her job. And she obviously thinks she can get away with whatever she wants to do. But, I mean, she obviously is somebody who has got serious problems. She's a complete mess. And like I said, they don't give her name in this article, but it was very easy to find other stories, and they show other pictures of her. And this is not from this one incident, but obviously she had other incidents that nothing happened about it. She got away with it. So again, this is like one of many incidents with the same particular woman. And she's acting like a 5-year-old. So how does this fit into the whole thing? Because I'm trying to look. It's on the Daily News, too. It's everywhere. That guy is just extremely nice. Hey, it's nice that guy's. But I would have personally, I would have pressed some charges on that woman. That's the only way she's going to learn. Yeah, I'm looking at this one now. It's from the Daily News. It's a different source. And yeah, they got her like she's got a chip on her shoulder. You can see by the pictures. She's taking selfies of herself in her scrubs. She's like, basically full of herself in a bikini. And there's some other shots that she's just, the girl's obviously this woman, not even a girl. This woman is just, she gets away with whatever she wants to do. And it obviously was proven the way she was mouthing off. And it's on video. I mean, the audio and the video shows her, her true side of herself. This woman is a complete mess, and she'll just get away with it again and again and again, probably because she's a female and that she's really attractive. Again. And yeah, she is it says, this second article, because the other one didn't really give her name out at all. It says the young woman apparently drunk after a night out on the town was on Thursday identified. Now, this one was from the Daily News, in case you're interested, and I think I did post it now, as Dr. Angela Rakisoon, because it looks like, Ram Kiss Soon. So that's the way I'm just kind of pronounce the way it looks, because it has Ram and it says, it's all one word, but it says Ram Kiss and then, spell that like Soon, Soon. So Ram Kiss Soon. But obviously this girl has never, been disciplined. She's always gotten her way on everything she's ever done, and she became a doctor somehow. How, I don't know, because I wouldn't trust her. Now, how does this go back to the story I was telling you? Well, this woman who's a psychologist who was supposed to give me this evaluation, was playing obviously a similar game. And it's like these people that are in power should not be in power because they're very dangerous. You're giving people that have no respect for anyone except themselves. They're endangering everybody's life. And obviously this woman is a good example. And I kind of now, take back what I thought about this woman and really think she was not being professional. This one that was supposed to call me back about this test. Because I'm like looking at this other one because I haven't read this one at all. The one from the Daily Mail. The Daily News. This other article I just found just now. And it says the driver repeatedly asked onlookers to call the cops as the petty woman... See, they try to play it down. The petty woman takes swings at him and attempts to knee him in the groins. Like, she's flipping out, and they're going to take her side because she's got, like, these extremely tight shorts on, and she's attacking him. And, it's that case again that I mentioned yesterday, if you listened to my show, that was 3 hours, that, everybody's got to... The male's got to be chivalrous, and they're going to take the woman's side every single time. and it's just ridiculous. People got to look beyond a person's appearance and realize if that person, doesn't matter what shape, what size, what nationality, what color their skin is, if they're doing something that is inappropriate or dangerous, they either need to be 302'd or you need to call some type of authorities to get that situation under control. You can't just say, "Oh, we can't do that because it's being politically incorrect, it's being sexist or whatever." It does not fucking matter. This woman could have seriously hurt other people, and if you're in some form of authority, that doesn't give you the right to do whatever you damn well please. It does not give you that right at all. So, yeah, it says here on this one from the Daily News, on top of the video, it says, video of South Florida, medical resident lashing out at Uber driver goes viral. So, yeah, I mean, obviously people see this. Now, I didn't realize what it's trying to say then is, this woman got caught red-handed acting out, and she's a doctor. And it's really pissing off a lot of people, which is a good thing. This was up on January 21st because this happened, I think, on over the weekend, last weekend, I think. But people really got to really take this stuff seriously. So, and that just kind of brought to my attention. Here's another one of a whack job. This was on the Times Herald. I did read this one. It was titled, "Cops, Woman Arrested in Narragansett After Calling the Police for a Domestic Incident." She was crying that her boyfriend was sexually assaulting her. So the cops went in. It was she ran out of her apartment or her house. It said January 18th, police were called on 200 block of Barbados Street for a domestic dispute. The woman outside the apartment building flagged down police and said she was a victim of violent assault. Well, guess what? Her thing of calling the cops was, she said, "I caught my boyfriend making out with another guy." Pretty much. I'm not even kidding. During an argument, she began, after she was caught him. Oh, yeah, okay. She caught her boyfriend in question. Oh, wait. Well, sorry about that. She claims that her boyfriend was beating her up in an argument after being caught performing sex on another man. That the boyfriend was the one, it seemed like, during an argument that the victim she was a victim of violent assault. She claims she was beaten by her boyfriend during an argument that began after she caught him, this girl's boyfriend, performing sex on another man. So the cops came over, they checked her out. There was not one bruise on her, not one. Now get this, though. This is another one of these double standard things, but it seemed like it turned out, thank God, in the boyfriend's favor. Let's see where it said it. Police did not, it says police did not observe any injuries on the woman, but her boyfriend was in question, and they noticed multiple scratches, some of which were bleeding over all portions of his torso. So she was the one assaulting him, and she was blaming him for assaulting, beating her up, playing that damsel in distress that I always talk about, try to get him arrested. And the reason she was scratching and kicking at him or beating him up was because she was mad that her boyfriend was having sex with another man. So get that. And this was in Norristown. Again, it was on 200 block Barbados Street in Norristown. The male did not say what participated in the argument and, well, basically how the argument got started, I guess. But all the injuries weren't on her that she described. They were on him. So bottom line was she was arrested for a simple assault and taken to police station pending arrangement. So it's going to be a slap on the wrist because, again, you're judging the book by its cover. A poor feeble female, even though she was the one assaulting the guy, it's going to be just kind of, looked at as like a minor domestic dispute. So, and it's just, it's nonstop. Now here, I just picked this up, so I don't know anything about this story. It was on the Times Herald. It caught my attention because it's another story just to support my point on double standards, and this one's from Lower Providence. That's where I live. Lower Providence woman charged in death of a 2-year-old daughter. So you're going to see this woman go to jail and getting her ass bleeding like that guy I told you about the other day? Probably not. Probably a different type of situation, too, obviously. A Lower Providence woman was arrested and charged Wednesday with involuntary manslaughter for not seeking medical treatment and a drug overdose death of her 2-year-old daughter, Trinity, in July 2015. Christina Griffiths, 35, of the first block in Indian Head Road, which is basically around Arcola Middle School, gave inconsistent statement in the investigation of a toddler was pronounced dead the morning of July 30th, 2015, at a Motel 6 in King of Prussia. I know exactly where that is, according to Montgomery County District Attorney Kevin Steele. So here you go. This was deemed down, because it's a female, as an accidental overdose. She killed an infant, her infant daughter, and it's just getting deemed down as just an accident. So, and now it's coming up for trial. I'm not going to read anymore because it just, stories like that just, never cease to amaze me how our society is just so one-sided on these issues. In this country, in the U.S., probably in England too. And you know what? I got to step back for 1 second, because it seems like I just constantly, which I do on my show, I realize, constantly am always attacking certain people, but there are certain people in my life that were big influences in my life that, are the same people I complain about. So I'm trying to just justify that, no, I don't think that way straight across the board with, women or some type of minority. Because one of my biggest role models, and I do mean role models, he meant a lot to me in my life, was my one friend. His name was Joe Thomas, and he was a guy who lived next to me in my apartment when I was, living on my own for a slight bit down in Horsham. And Joe, he did a lot for me. He went out of his way. He took me under his wing. He tried to kind of get me to take responsibility for a lot of things. Try to help me out as much as he could. He was like a counselor to me, and he wasn't. He was a friend, but he acted like he helped me out an awful lot. Now, why am I bringing up Joe Thomas? What's that mean about anything? Well, Joe Thomas would be like, okay, I'm not trying to do this. I'm just trying to show that not everybody. He was according to being politically correct, he would be an African American. Did I look him at that way? At him that way? No, because this was back like in the mid '80s, and that was the thing. There was no labeling back then. I had friends that were different nationalities, different skin color, and the last thing that went through my mind is honestly. Is what was their nationality? What was the color of their skin? That never came through. It wasn't until the last 7 years that became a big issue, when Obama just keeps on pushing that and pushing that and pushing that, and and it's this whole thing about race discrimination and sex discrimination and the war on women. That was another thing. Yeah, I mean, some of my best friends that I had back in the day were, was Joe Thomas, who was black. There were some other people that I had that were friends that were African American. Now that we have to be politically correct, which back then you never thought of calling this person whatever. You just thought of them as a person. And some of my friends, a lot of my really good friends, were females, not girlfriends. They were friends. One in particular, used to hang out with was this girl. Her name, I wish I knew what happened to her because I really miss her, was this girl named Cindy. And I told people about this years ago because we were like Bonnie and Clyde together. Like, we shouldn't have been together. Mutt and Jeff. When we were together, we got ourselves in trouble, and we did a lot of goofy stuff. Not that we got ourselves in serious trouble to get arrested, but we just did goofy crap. I remember me and Cindy used to go down to Philadelphia. We used to like to hang out and walk the streets when it was safer of down in on South Street, and it was really fun. We had a blast, me and Cindy. But we both had, like, really weak bladders. So I said this story a million times. I probably mentioned it on my shows before. But one of the funniest things that me and Cindy used to do is we would go down to Philly, we'd walk around, and then all of a sudden it would hit us like we really have to go to the bathroom. And we would, like, I remember the one time, because it's no longer there anymore, was at one place called Crash Brothers. I think that was the building she said, you know what? You stand over there and I'll squat right here and we're going to do our business. We're going to, like, basically piss on the wall of, like, Crash Brothers or something because we had to go so bad. And it would happen all the time. And it was almost like a joke after a while between us because it wasn't me, it was her that had to always, go to the bathroom. We had to piss or something. And one time I remember they just gave me a cup and they said, just pee in the cup and throw it out the window. And it was me and another friend, another girl, and, so I was the only guy. It was two girls. We were friends. And I said, what am I going to do with this cup? It's filled with urine now. And she said, just throw it out the window. I threw it out, and they were laughing because it like literally hit somebody's car, a cup of piss. So, I mean, we had a blast back then. But the last thing we ever thought about is like, well, I should treat you differently because I got to respect you because of this war on women. Or, my friend Joe Thomas. There was another guy I was really good friends with. I actually used to look up to him. We used to work. He was black, too, also. A different guy, younger guy. And he worked at Acme with me, and Horsham. And it was a couple other guys that I used to hang out with, or people. But the last thing that ever went through our mind was, okay, being politically correct, the war on women, this is sexist, or anything else. No, the whole point was we were young, we just goofed off, and we just had fun. The whole thing was about having fun and forgetting about your problems. I remember the one girl I actually ended up dating one time years ago. Her and a friend of hers, they were really close together. Their whole thing was just to piss people off when they were driving. Like, they would drive real slow, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is called being, basically a senior citizen driving or something like that." Or it was cool for them just to hang out at a cemetery at nighttime. I mean, it was goofy stuff. And me and my friends from college used to do stuff like that, hang out in the cemeteries and stuff. But we never did anything completely wrong. We never did anything destructive. And the last thing that was on our mind is, anything with politics. It's gotten worse. Like, it was never an issue years ago, the importance of, like, how to be politically correct, how to be not offensive to anyone. It was completely a gray area. Now, in the last 7 years, it's become such an issue that we literally reversed the way we thought, as a nation, even the way people think. We've gone back like 100 years, 200 years, actually. We haven't, progressed or continued to stay in the same direction we did back in the 80s when I had like the best times of my life sometimes, a lot of times. No, we've regressed. That's the word I'm looking for. Regressed 200 years back in history, not 200 years forward, but 200 years backwards. Like we've time traveled back and become more racist and more sexist and more hateful towards other people and destructive than ever it has been when I was growing up. It was never this bad, never. So that and just the ignorance and the arrogance that you see, and that's what just gets me feeling really bitter towards people too. It's just that hateful way people think. By the way, I've just seen this now, so I'm going to just plug this in as a side note. A friend brought to my attention, so I'm waiting to see what he wants to do, but Rob Zombie is going to actually be in Hershey Park, or up at Hershey, not Hershey Park, up at Hershey. I think I had to think about, I think it's May, on a Sunday. He is doing a meet and greet, but he's not charging some exuberant amount for the tickets, which is great. Now, get this. General admission on the floor to see Rob Zombie up in Hershey. Not Hershey Park, but in Hershey, Pennsylvania. $33 for general admission. So they just went on sale yesterday. I'm waiting because I was going to buy my ticket. I was going to buy another meet and greet because the man was really cool to talk to. He's really, really nice to talk to, Rob Zombie. The meet and greet is not that expensive. The tickets for, general admission, $33. My fear is it's going to sell out awfully, awfully quickly. So I'm waiting to hear back from my friend if he can do it or not. If he doesn't, I'm just going to go right ahead and buy it before it sells out, because I think he will sell out probably pretty easily, because he did draw a crowd down in Camden when he did that. So talking about rock stars and women or whatever, here is one. I have no clue who this person is, but it was on Bloody Disgust, and it says rest in peace, Tara Ray. It's W-R-A-Y. Static, found dead at 33, and it was all over drugs too. Incredibly tragic and heartbreaking news, as it is being reported that Tara Ray Static, the widow of Wayne Static, the widow of Wayne Static, has been found dead last night, or it was like the other day actually now, of an apparent suicide, according to Blabbermouth. She was 33. Now the thing was, I think it was somewhere, it says Static was married to Wayne Static, the enigmatic frontman of the metal band Static X. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I know Static X, though, who passed away in an early November 2014. In November of 2014, from a mixture of strong prescription drugs and alcohol. So I apologize. I thought she actually passed away from the same thing, but it's not really being sad. They said it's a suicide. So, yeah, that's pretty weird. 33 years old, the girl committed suicide, and her husband or whatever it was back in 2014 from Static X, he passed away from drug overdose. So you can't fool around with certain things. Okay, this is another one on entertainment. This one, I just saw it, I didn't realize I even posted, and I didn't realize what I was posting. But it was on David Lynch, of all things. It's from DW.com. Surrealism on the screen. David Lynch turned 70. Can you believe that? Because I just saw the man, I thought it was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But yeah, he just had turned 70 the other day. No other film director has created such mystery works as David Lynch has done with world-renowned films like Blue Velvet and Wild at Heart. He's also revolutionized television with his hit series of Twin Peaks. So that man looks really good, because I saw him just at least 2 years ago, and he looked really good. So, hey, that means he was at least 68 when I saw him, 69. No puns intended. Another man who looks really good for his age, by the way, and this was just the other day, too, was Stan Lee says Deadpool movie was his favorite cameo, because it's one of those Marvel comic things, I guess. Yeah, I didn't realize he was up there in age like that. Well, I mean, I know he's up there in age. What am I saying? He's 73, but he looks really good, and I just caught my attention now. The fact that he really liked doing a cameo in Deadpool, which is coming out next month. At a bi-coastal surprise fan screening of Deadpool, the cast and crew came out to celebrate thanks to his 900th exaggerated number Marvel's movie cameo. Okay, they're being sarcastic then. That included Stan Lee in the West Coast Preservation. A fan Q&A followed the screening. So apparently, I'm not going to read anymore. If people want to read it, they can. It's on comicbookmovie.com. No, comicbook.com. There's different ones. But yeah, he was really happy to be have a cameo in Deadpool. Now, by the way, people were complaining about giving that a PG-13. They're not really thrilled with the rated R rating. Well, I was watching that new show on Fox tonight, where they actually, had a commercial for Deadpool, and it definitely got the hard R rating, and that's not going away, because if it's already being advertised on, it was on Fox, I think, one of the Fox networks where all the superhero shows are, that's etched in stone. So, you can do all the huffing and puffing and holding your breath and screaming and hollering you want, but, once they put that, rating on a movie, it's not going to change anything. It's done deal. So thank goodness. I'd rather see it if gotten an NC-17, but I'll settle for the rated R at this point because it's not going to make a difference anyway. Anyway, this was really good. I saw this the other day, and I might have just said, I'm not going to read it, but I kind of actually do want to read it now. It was on Fox 29 News. Actress, I don't know who this woman is, Stacey Dash calls for elimination of Black History Month in BET, which, hey, I admire somebody who sticks up and thinks that, always complaining about being a victim is not going to make things better. It just makes things worse. And that's why I really respect this woman now. I don't even know who she is. Chicago Fox 32 News, an American actress, Stacey Dash, said Wednesday in a segment on Fox and Friends that celebrating the achievement of only black people further promotes segregation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. While discussing the lack of diversity in this year's Oscar nominations, Dash said the outcry is ludicrous. So there you go. Here's a woman saying this. Again, I can't say it enough. We have to make up our minds. Either, this is a quote, by the way, we have to make up our minds. Either we want to have segregation or integration. And if we don't want segregation, then we need to get rid of the channels like BET and the BET Awards and the Image Awards where you only are awarded if you're black. She said, if there's the other way around, we would be up in arms. It's a double standard. She's actually saying that. She said if it was the other way around, it'd be a double standard. It is a double standard. The actress continued, there shouldn't be any Black History Month. And it says, we're Americans, period. I've been saying that. I think my friend's been saying this for years. A lot of my friends say this. And that's it. We are Americans. We're not black Americans, white Americans, Italian Americans, Hispanic Americans. We're all freaking Americans. And that's what she's saying. Fox News hosts are saying there shouldn't be a Black History Month because there isn't a White History Month. And you know what? Didn't I just say, well, you heard it. I did say something on this line yesterday. Something on that line. And it says Dash exactly. Somebody actually agreed besides me. So, I wish I was here just to kiss that woman on the head because, I'm glad somebody actually realizes this. Anyway, this was one story on Fox 29 News. I saw this and was like, I have to make acknowledgement of this. I thought this was so great. It says there's a video, and it says 101-year-old Richard Mann shovels his neighbor's snow. Man's 101 years old, and he's shoveling snow. Better than I could do. And it was in St. Paul, Minnesota. 101-year-old Richard Mann doesn't let a little snow keep him down. The video of Mann is shoveling his neighbor's walkway in Minnesota earlier this month has been viewed nearly 2 million times after being posted on Facebook. So that is so freaking cool. Man's 101 years old and he's still, doing good things for other people. There's an article I found on Opposing Views, and it says dispute over classified information in Hillary Clinton's emails continues. That was on the 20th. It was in recent recently been revealed that the number of the emails that passed through Hillary Clinton's private server during the time as her being Secretary of State reportedly contained information more sensitive than top secret. So, and this woman's still trying to run for president. It's amazing. Yeah, it says Hillary Clinton's decision to use private encrypted server while she was Secretary of State continues to haunt her presidential campaign. Well, it actually really should, you know. A declassified letter written by Intelligence Community Inspector General Charles McCollin III on January 14th confirms that some of the emails sent to Clinton contain. It says Clinton contained information on special access programs, SAP Fox News reports. So I'm not going to read anymore, but it's just, and people still are really dumb on this fact that if whoever votes for her is seriously really, really dumb. This was pretty funny because I mentioned this the other day. I believe I did. RushLimbaugh.com. He actually did. I heard this on his show yesterday or the day before yesterday. Fast and Furious gun found in El Chapo's hideout. And this was from Obama's Fast and the Furious program. Yeah, it says an A50 caliber rifle found in El Chapo gunman's hideout in Mexico was funneled through Obama's gun smuggling operation known as Fast and Furious, sources confirmed Tuesday to Fox News. Former Attorney General Eric Holder was held in contempt after he refused to divulge documents for the congressional investigation into the matter, if you recall. Now, Rush was explaining this particular rifle could like blast probably a tank away. I mean, I heard he said it was like a really heavy gun. Okay, yeah, here we go. It says an A50 caliber is a massive rifle that can stop a car or, as it was intended, take down a helicopter. And this was in the hands of a cartel, drug cartel man from Obama. Basically just handed it over to him. It was like, here you go. Kill as many people as you like. We're not going to stop you. Isn't that great? I saw this yesterday. I think this was up after I was done from Daily Mail. It says Iraq's oldest Christian monastery that had stood for over 1,400 years was destroyed in seconds. Satellite image reveals how ISIS reduced the sacred site to rubble. Again, isn't that great? But, you got to understand these ISIS people, they're just really timid people. They're just misunderstood. It says that this St. Elijah Monastery in English has been completely leveled by ISIS. The monastery located in south of Mosul, northern Iraq, was built in the 600s, making it 1,400 years old. It was Iraq's oldest Christian monastery and had recently functioned as a place of worship for U.S. troops. Not any longer, though. For more than of the latest Islamic State news, visit dailymail.com.uk ISIS. So these people have absolutely no respect for anyone except their own beliefs. Just like these other stories I read. These are just, every story I've read so far, almost all of them are about people that just get whatever they want, and there's nobody there to stop them. Different note. Got to lighten the mood a little bit, don't I? Bloody disgusting. It's official. Tom Cruise gets wrapped up in the Mummy remake. So they're going to do a Mummy remake with Tom Cruise, of all people. Say what you will about Tom Cruise, but he's an awesome actor, and knowing he's going to star in another genre film gets me, according to this person who wrote this, tingly inside. So yeah, he's going to be doing the Mummy. That's pretty cool. Another celebrity, horror, Marilyn Manson joins the cast of horror TV series Salem. You know what? I watched like the first couple episodes, and I really lost interest. I lost, wanting to watch the show. And it was kind of funny because a guy I work with, he started watching Salem, and he actually really enjoyed it. So he probably still continued to watch it. I stopped watching it. And now somebody who I saw twice last year in concert, Marilyn Manson's going to be in next season's this season's show of be in a couple episodes. I don't know because I haven't watched it. The show called Salem. That's pretty cool. Makes me almost want to watch it. Little side note, it was pretty funny. Not really, but it was something stapled up on Facebook. Will glass coffins be a success? Remains to be seen. No puns intended, because it's a clear glass casket. There was a fire actually the other day, and in my neck of the woods. It was on the Times Herald. Residential fires. 2 pets die in a Perkiomen Township house fire caused under investigation. Really not much on that, but the house was like literally completely burned down, and again, animals died, and somebody was treated for smoke ventilation who lived in the house. They're keep on pushing this. I mean, how far are they going to be able to push this before people, you're going to get them so worked up about this storm like they always do, that when it finally happens, because it's on the Times Herald, it says Montgomery County shelters prepare for winter storm Code Blue. And it was on like some show I was watching that on MeTV. They were getting everybody worked up. Oh, this storm's going to be the worst of the century. They always say that every year. The worst storm of the century. It's going to be the worst one ever in history. Well, yeah, past history. And guess what? They never are. So if you're interested, there's a story on that. That was updated 2 hours ago on the Times Herald. This was pretty funny. I had to look this up because I couldn't remember her name. MeTV is bringing back the old shows. Well, they're all old shows, but one in particular, and it was a show called Mama's Family. And I'm trying to look for the actress's name because, here it is. I never watched the show. It was a skit originally from Carol Burnett show. I used to watch that when I was a kid. I think there were only reruns back then. Vicki Lawrence, she played this character. She played like a grandmother. Basically a mouthy grandmother. And it's funny because when Vicki Lawrence first did this character years ago, she was really young. Now Vicki Lawrence doesn't have to go too far with the makeup to play, this grandmother she played, almost, 20, 30 years ago. So the reason I'm bringing this up, because she was on last Saturday, it says this Saturday on Senguli. She's actually going to be appearing on his show, and they show a publicity shot of her being in Senguli's casket. But it's just funny because Vicki Lawrence has really aged a bit, because it's been a long time ago. And it's funny because when she did this show called Mama's, make sure I got it right, Mama's Family, you can see the difference because, she plays this old woman, but you can tell she's not an old woman. She's probably only in her 20s or something. Now, she's actually starting to look like the character she played almost, which is kind of funny. I mean, God, I loved her. I thought she was really, back in the day. You're talking like early 70s. I thought she was kind of hot, too. Carol Burnett wasn't bad looking either. She was actually on, I think, Night Gallery or something, or one of those other shows like that, like Hitchcock. Wow, the story actually caught my attention right this second. I might have to open it up. I'm just gonna read it. I get things all the time to catch my attention. Especially this one. Really cute looking blonde haired lady. Well, what's that mean? And she's holding a baby. Okay, where is this gonna go, Walter? What's on Daily Mail exclusive? Midnight Craven, a colky newborn in changing diapers with her feet. Pro surfer Bethany Hamilton, which I don't know if anybody knows who that is, reveals caring for her newborn with only one arm is more of a challenge than being a surfer, basically a surfboard. So yeah, wow. I don't know what happened to her, but she lost an arm. So I don't know, because usually if you're a surfer, you know what that probably meant. She may have even lost. Yeah, it was 25-year-old pro surfer lost her arm in a shark attack in Hawaii when she was just 13 years old. So that is really cool. That really caught my attention. You know what? You're going to have to give me a second, folks, because right now I'm kind of taking it for granted, but give me 1 second as this goes to dead airspace. I was just making sure. There was a big dead airspace. When it went dead, that it was still recording, because that could happen. It hasn't happened with the Windows thing, but that, could happen. You know what? I forgot to save the one with the surfer, so I got to make sure I post it up. That, see, that's the thing. Stories like this are, they just are very inspirational. These are the kind of stories we need to see. We don't need to see people crying over, oh, I'm being mistreated when you act like a 5-year-old. I need to see more stories like this one with this woman. She's never, from the age of 13, she got her arm, like, literally, bitten off by a shark, and it's like all the way up where her shoulder blade was. She has no arm. So that to me is, like, very inspirational. He shut down his family thing now, too. Another heart-wrenching story, because it actually is it's a story 30 years later. It actually hit Daily Mail. It hit around the world when this happened back in 1986, when at the time this boy fell into at a park, fell into pretty much like the gorilla cage. And this gorilla, who is now deceased, kind of put his wings around this little boy who fell into the gorilla cage and kept the child protected. Now, this was 30 years ago. It says Jambo, the gorilla, stands guard over the fallen child in 1986, and how it didn't affect this little boy who, was unconscious. He fell into, again, it was down in Jersey. It was a zoo in New Jersey. And he's actually, ironically, he's from Horsham, which is not that far from here. It says, my guardian gorilla angel, 30 years on from the amazing moment this ape saved this teeny boy who fell into his enclosure. The man protected by the gentle giant reveals how the incident has shaped his entire life. Like, it really... Not in the bad way either. So the thing was, this gorilla did not foresee this child. There was other gorillas in the cage that were actually kind of hovering around. They probably would have torn the poor kid apart. So this gorilla kept him safe. So it was considered he is a hero, that gorilla. He's passed away years ago now, though. Anyway, it says exclusive. Levin Merritt fell into the gorilla enclosure at Jersey Zoo in 1986. Now, 30 years on, he has shared his memories of this fateful day to Mail Online. The incident has shaped his life, and he has forged strong relationships with the zoo. He had to deal with being bullied at schools, because back then this kid was called, they called him Tarzan and Gorilla Boy, because it got a lot of news coverage. But now he hopes to take his children, Leo and Riley, to the zoo in Channel Islands. So it's got a lot of pictures when this originally had happened, and how this gorilla, made sure this kid was safe. It's a really impressive story. It's very long too, so I'm not going to read it. So, hey, I had a 3-hour show last night. I can't deal with that again. Trust me. Hey, it was really cool because they have a story on Radio Times, another English story. The crew of Arthur Darville's new time travel show made him a makeshift. They made him a makeshift dialect, from Doctor Who. They made him a makeshift one. Now, I think people are thinking the same thing I am. He's actually the main character in Legends of Tomorrow. Because Legends of Tomorrow is nothing like Doctor Who, and they wanted to make him feel at home, so they kind of threw a joke on him. He's a British actor who was on Doctor Who. He played his character named Rory, and he was, boyfriend/husband of one of the companions on the new series. Now, the character he played on Doctor Who, I did not like that actor, but I just see him under a completely different light because he's a really good actor, to say the least, on this show. Because I watched the pilot tonight. I missed the first few minutes, so I went out to get something to eat, called Legends of Tomorrow. So, yeah, Arthur Darvill is an incredible actor, and they say that this show called Legends of Tomorrow may only last one season. And reason being is because the show is extremely expensive to make because it is a time travel show. So what I'm hoping, if they get rid of the nutcase they have now, who plays the producer of Doctor Who, and they get somebody else in there as producer, and, if for some reason Legends of Tomorrow kind of does get canceled because of the cost being too high, please, BBC, please consider Arthur Darvill as the next Doctor Who, because this guy really proved himself. If you watch the pilot, you see the upcoming shows on Legends of Tomorrow. If he's not tied in the show, this man is a incredible actor, and I would have no problem if they put him in the shoes of Doctor Who and not go the direction that this producer has destroyed. Doctor Who has torn it apart and make it into some politically correct TV show for everyone except who is the center focus of who really watches Doctor Who. So if they get rid of that producer, they get somebody else, keep him in mind, basically, because he would be a really good Doctor Who guy from Legends of Tomorrow. Anyway, Daily Mail, there's another story about terrorism. Terror in Cairo. When I read this, it was there was a Cure song. It was one of the second or third songs that Robert Smith and the Cure ever made back when they were the Easy Cure. And I think it was called Fire in Cairo. So it says, terror in Cairo, 9 people dead and 10 injured after a bomb explodes during a police raid in tourist area near pyramids. Bomb killed 9 people, including police officers near the Pyramid of Cairo. 10 people were also injured in the blast near the pyramids on Thursday. Interior Ministry said bomb was planted by, get this, I know it's going to be a shock, by Muslim Brotherhood militants. So there you go again. Now, if they're destroying these, foundations in Cairo, and it's near these, ancient Egyptian pyramids, this is really, everything is very serious, but this is absolutely serious too. Think about it. These pyramids have been around since the beginning of history of time, when time was recorded. And, it's gone through, in our lifetime, World War I, World War II, and, other disasters. And they never got taken down because, I think even Adolf Hitler, had some sense of you don't destroy ancient artifacts, especially that Christian cathedral or whatever. But these people are so ruthless that they honestly don't care. They're destroying basically the beginning of time history, stuff from the beginning of time, or recorded history, I should say. And isn't this shouldn't this at least raise some type of red flag? Obviously not, but it should. But it's not. Here is a story I have to feel bad for. This poor girl, it was a high school girl, it was on Opposing Views, by the way. And it says high school girl made to miss final exam because her outfit would have distracted boys from taking their test. And I'm looking at it, it's like she's wearing a pair of really, really baggy, ripped off shorts that are like pretty low. Basically, what do you call it? Like it's black. It's like a leotard, but it's the thing you wear when you not anything offensive at all. Not even remotely offensive. Like a leotard you would wear if you're what do you call it? Like ballet or something. And she's got a sweater on top of it. Pair of like looks like Doc Martens and some black pantyhose. And it doesn't even remotely closely look anything provocative. Not at all. So it says the teenage girl from Utah missed her final exam because she was asked to change out of the outfit she was deemed too distracting for the boys. And I mean, you look at it, it's like there's nothing distracting about this at all. Ash Smith was walking to her classroom to take a final exam when she was stopped by a female hall monitor who told her that she would have to change as her outfit was too inappropriate and would be distracting for the boys. So this poor girl was obviously, trust me, I'm the first one on finding something wrong about something. And this doesn't even, wouldn't even give me a second look. I wouldn't even turn my head. Yeah, you're going to say, well, it's a young girl. She's a 16-year-old kid. But the point is, hear me out. She's not dressed inappropriately. She's dressed probably much better than most of these people do nowadays. There's nothing wrong. I would actually, she tweeted it on Twitter, but I would probably take this to the higher level because there's nothing wrong. That was definitely, for some reason, this particular female hall monitor had a problem with this girl, not for the way she was dressed, because she's not doing absolutely zero. She's doing nothing wrong. Nothing. So that's a shame. So I'm sorry that happened to her. I really can't describe the story, but it's very heart-wrenching. And whoever put this video up, put it together, his name's David Wolf. It's very emotional, in my opinion. It's with two parakeets, because I had a parakeet. And obviously, they must have been very close, these parakeets. One of the budgies is yellow. The other one's the typical green one. But the green one passed away. It's deceased. So you can obviously see the mate or the other parakeet was extremely upset. And you don't see that with animals where they get emotional, over other animals. But he tries to put the dead budgie, wrap it up in the paper towel, and the other bird gets upset and kind of unrolls the paper towel, and it's like trying to pull the bird back out. She doesn't, the other budgie does not want to see, if it was its mate or even its friend, be taken away. The bird obviously could not accept that the other one had passed away, and it's very obvious. It's very emotional to watch. I'm not even joking at all. And he puts that love has no culture, boundaries, race, and religion. It is pure and beautiful like moon's reflection on a quiet lake. And it's definitely heart-wrenching. I have to actually take it down. It's very heart-wrenching. This poor bird, was extremely upset to see, its friend or whatever, pass away. And it's really hard to look at the video. It's like a minute and a half, or no, almost 2 minutes, but it's really emotional. Hey, you know what? I skipped one story to just look at this because I looked at this and I expected to get something a little bit better out of it. It was on the Daily Mail. And I have to agree with these people getting very offended by this. It was one of these that probably happened in, the U.S., but the Daily Mail posted it. I don't know. It says, model shows off sexy cleavage in a public mall to the delight of passerbys. But a mom breastfeeding in the same place is labeled disgusting and revealing social experiment. So it's like, okay, this really caught my attention. And then I looked at it. It was like a lot of people the point of this social, quote unquote, social experiment was the one girl's got like these cut off tight shorts and a tight top, and she's showing off her breast. The other one is, I don't know if it is, but the guy who made this video, Joey Salitz, his name is literally Salitz, made a video with his wife forever, and she's breastfeeding in public, and the people didn't seem to, according to him and the people involved in this video, they weren't bothered by the girl who was basically showing her cleavage off, but they got deeply offended by the woman breastfeeding her child. And it was like, well, you know what? There is a difference. Showing cleavage is one thing, give or take, and it can be considered offensive. But yeah, fully exposing your breast and breastfeeding in public, yeah, that is a little bit inappropriate. Because, hey, if you can do that and you find that offensive that, oh, she should be able to breastfeed and people shouldn't get assaulted by that, then you shouldn't have a problem if I have to basically urinate in public where you can see my penis, which you wouldn't see anything anyway. It's too small. Or, if I just pull my pants down and decide to defecate on the ground, there shouldn't be any problem with that. Now you're going to say, well, that's apples and oranges. Not really, because I'm exposing some part of my body that, I'm doing something that's natural, because they're saying, well, breastfeeding is natural, so is defecating and urinating. That's something you have to do, but that doesn't mean that everybody needs to see me do that, and nobody needs to see this woman breastfeeding, exposing her breast and breastfeeding her baby in public. There's a place and a time to do that, and it's not in the public. So, I have to shoot this one down. Anyway, once again, it says model shows off her sexy cleavage in public to the delight of passers-by, but the mom breastfeeding in the same place is labeled disgusting and a revealing social experiment. Well, guess what? Leftists. Joey Salitz, 22, of New York, latest video sees a model with a low-cut top and a mother breastfeeding takes turns sitting at a bench being filmed. They don't show the other one. They just show the whole thing with the girl being breastfed. While men looked approvingly at the scantily dressed woman, even calling her outfit hot, strangers told the breastfeeding mother she was gross. Well, no offense, they have a very legitimate point. This guy's not seeing it. He's just trying to, again, that would fall under Walter's favorite thing to talk about, the war on women that doesn't exist. It says I'll just read the first paragraph. The normalizing of public breastfeeding debate was raging loudly, or louder than ever, in 2015, and it looks like it continues in 2016 after a video comparing sexy cleavage to breastfeeding in the public was reviewed more than 75 million times in just one day. So, no offense, there is a big difference. You wearing tight clothes is one thing, and yeah, there's a fine line that needs to be drawn. But exposing your breast and feeding your child in public, that's completely different. I'm sorry. It really is. Again, let me reinstate what I just said a few minutes ago. You won't want to see me pulling down my pants and urinating in public. And you definitely wouldn't want to see me pulling down my pants and defecating in public. And my point is, it's exposing some part of my body that's normally covered for a reason. And it's just, to keep certain things, one, sacred. And number two, it's just, that's part of the norms of our society. There's certain things you have to follow. And obviously, they feel like, well, we can, again, here we go. There goes back to, well, I should be able to do whatever I want to do, and nobody should be able to stop me. It's just, when is this game of, I find this offensive, I find this racist, I can do whatever I want to do because I'm, a woman. When is this going to stop? When are things going to go back to when I was in my 20s, and I never thought that way about anybody, and I never heard this BS go on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, there was a story that was pretty funny. It was on Clash Daily with Doug Giles. I think Joe the Plumber actually initially had posted this on his link, and I didn't know what it was about, but it says, the black actors deserve a damn Oscar. It says, these black actors deserve a damn Oscar. Someone tells Jada Smith and Spike Lee. But it's not even about Jada Pinkett Smith. It isn't. It's about these people who think they're black, act like they're black, but they're actually are white. And it's pretty funny because it's this woman. She is whiter than, she was born, both parents are white, and some guy who was born, both parents white. And they act and say they are part of, Black Matters Lives. They protest 2 different cases, and they pushed this for years that I'm actually black, and you have no black in your bloodstream. Your history is all white people, and the only things that changed them is because they both got caught. And one with this woman was because her parents basically disowned her, and when she lost out on a money situation from her parents' disowner, then she confessed that I was born white and I am white. So anyway, it says best actress would be Rachel Dorlez or whatever, Washington double NAACP leader and Black Lives Matter activist. Rachel admitted to being white just this year after her Caucasian parents outed her, and she lived this lie to garner sympathy and esteem for years until she was caught. So, she got caught in a lie, and sounds like in addition, her parents, when they decided to disown her, she fessed up that, I have 2 white parents, and, my family history is white. But she actually, she had, red hair, I think, and white skin, so she, basically took, that tannin stuff, or she tanned her skin, or that stuff you get in the bottle and make your skin look darker, to look like you have a suntan. And she basically dyed her hair and gave herself, an afro. I'm not even joking. She looks like a joke to begin with. And that all came collapsing down underneath of her, and she stopped doing it. And the other one is, for Best Actor, is this guy named Sean King, for an activist for Black Lives Matter, agitator and protest leader of Sean King, was also outed just this year as a white dude, it says. King misled media icon Oprah Winfrey by pretending to be it says biracial in order to qualify for an Oprah Winfrey scholarship to a historically black Morehouse College, basically this college. But anyway, it says T. King is white and has been lying about this ethnicity for years. So there's more to that story, I guess, somewhere. I'm not going to look it up, but it's just interesting. I mean, it's just how backwards our society is, and how it's all coming apart, though. At least I think. Sorry about that. Anyway, I was going to read this next story. It was about Cloverfield from Movie Pilot, and it says there is a tie-in, a loose tie-in, but there is, it is supposed to be a sequel to this movie from years ago called Cloverfield. And this one, it is by J.J. Abrams, and it's called 10 Cloverfield Lane, and how this is related to Cloverfield, because there is a teaser for the movie called 10 Cloverfield Lane. Honestly, it looks like something maybe Kevin Smith would do for one of his horror movies. And they say there is a tie-in between 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield. Basically, that monster that you never saw in Cloverfield had, I don't want to say barnacles, but he had, it was a sea creature monster that literally had parasites, huge parasites that came off of it. And I think that this 10 Cloverfield Lane, the parasites that came off of the main monster that you never saw in Cloverfield is the making of this sequel called 10 Cloverfield Lane, if that makes any sense. If it does not, just look at it on moviepilot.com because my eyes are starting to bug out a little bit. I saw this story, by the way, and it looks really, really cool, but it looks kind of creepy, too. And it was from dangerousminds.net, and it says, artist creates freakishly realistic doll faces. And that is truly an understatement. They look like human beings. The amount of texture and realism he puts, this guy who creates these dolls, they look literally like flesh tone and like people that were shrunk down, like human beings. And they're showing how he creates these things. He actually puts skeletal in the sculptures of these dolls, skeletal and muscle tone before he builds it up to actually put like the final touches on these dolls. And they could pass for like literally like human beings, not even kidding. And these are like, they look like they're like 18 inches high, but they look like little people, like really like little people. So I had to put that up because it was just really, really cool. It says out of Polmar clay. It says Russian artist Michael Zakov. Anyway, you got to check that out because these things will probably give you nightmares because they look like people. So anyway, I'm trying to get this down because I really wanted this under, obviously under, it's not going to happen now, under an hour. Definitely want it under 3 hours. Very cool story on American news. This guy finds a watch that ends up being a lot more money than what he paid for at a Goodwill store. He knew it was worth more than what they were selling it for, but he didn't realize how much more. So it says, man buys a vintage watch for $5.99 and discovers how much it's really worth. He knew somewhat about it. This was back on the 19th, by the way. And it says, here, let me just take a quick look at my thing. So let me give this moment of silence for everybody. Apologize about that. Okay, it's still going. So it says this guy Norris was at a Goodwill in Phoenix, Arizona, looking for a used push-pull cart for golf clubs. Basically, is what he was looking for. However, according to this article, he said he stopped to look at the store's basket of watches. They had a basket full of watches. He noticed the one watch face down price was $5.99, but it was labeled it had a label on it which read Lee Coltra deep sea alarm. It caught his eye because the guy had some idea that this watch was definitely worth a little bit more than $6. So it says Norris knew the watch, which was made by Jagger Lee Coltra. I've never even heard of this watch, so I wouldn't even know. I could have looked at it and say, oh, I guess it's not worth anything. Was probably worth more than what the price tag was. However, he didn't realize that this particular watch, and I'm getting the name wrong, this deep sea alarm watch, was made in Syria in 1959, and get this, was worth more than $35,000. It said that less than 1,000 of these watches were actually originally made and put out on the market, and he has one of them. So that would be something either A, you want to hold on to, or B, cash in on and pay off some bills. I would take B. Funny story, not really, but it was on the New York Post. And I feel bad for the guy who, in this story, but it's called Husband Plummeted in Crazy Subway Brawl After Wife Spits on at a Man. So these are people in New York. They're like going to work, most of them. And it says in this article, this incident happened northbound 5 train at 3:30 p.m. Wednesday. A bystander who was one of several strap hangers yelling at both the woman and the attacker during the entire event caught it all on video. Now, the person who ends up attacking this woman's wife, the main person that people, what I've seen on this video that was, recorded on somebody's cell phone, is this woman just started yelling at this guy who was minding his own business, who said, listen, I'm just trying to get to work. I don't want to be late for work, or maybe leaving for work, or maybe I thought he said he was going to work. So she starts yelling at him, involving her husband, and then she spits on the guy, and the guy just finally had enough of it, and he can't knock out the woman, so he starts knocking or punching, what I saw in the video, her husband. And it was like, well, you know what? You keep on instigating this guy who's trying to mind his own business. You're calling him like all these names, dropping the F-bomb, and you don't expect this guy to like react to this. So, it's on the New York Post, by the way. It basically has a quote, I'm going to fuck you, and it says N-up. The man screamed over and over again after plummeting the woman's husband with a series of hard punches and kicks that left him on the floor of the train. Well, you know what? The whole thing got started from this woman, though. This is the problem. They're not mentioned in the story. Cops say the argument started in Manhattan when the woman tried to squeeze into a seat next to a man in a reflective vest. So this guy was probably some type of construction worker. The woman told police that he elbowed her and she elbowed him back, and the two launched into a tirade that lasted across the river and 4 stops into the Bronx. So, you know what? I'll leave the rest for other people to read or look up. But honestly, if you've seen the way this woman was mouthing off, you can obviously see she's the one who instigated the thing. And the funny thing is, again, it's that whole thing about being chivalrous because you can't hit a woman, obviously, that the guy, knowing that he can't hit the woman who's mouthing off, and she really should have been the one knocked out, no offense, that the guy ends up pounding on the woman's husband. It's like, well, you know what? If you would have kept your fucking mouth shut and not started such an issue, this would not have been a problem. And that guy who was, the reflective jacket probably would not beat the shit out of your husband because he can obviously he can't hit you, so he's hitting the next best thing. The ones adjoined to you, the guy who was being the bitch, basically, because he let his wife basically get him beaten up. So it's kind of like a humorous story, but not really, if you get my drift. Anyway, it was another story my friend sent me. It was on Daily News, New York Daily News. And this guy who won the lottery for almost somewhat of close to $1 million from Georgia, says Georgia lottery winner murdered in a home invasion, pleaded with robbers, please don't do it in front of my kids or, quote unquote, my old lady. So I don't know how this guy actually won this. He looks like one of those street thugs, the way he's holding up the thing and his, no offense, but his dress attire. Anyway, it says a Georgia lottery winner his luck ran out after he was murdered at a home invasion on Thursday. Gregory Birch Jr., 20, recently won almost $500,000 from the Georgia Lottery Fantasy 5 in November. 2 months later, somebody people had robbed and broke into his house, and he pleaded for his wife and his children's safety, but he ended up getting murdered over this. So I don't know the whole situation. It's a shame what happened to him, but I'm sure he probably boasted about it. I mean, you look at just his not saying this was excusable behavior that he should have gotten killed, but you kind of got to, if you win something that big, you kind of like don't get too big for your bridges, because obviously, just looking at the picture that they had taken of him winning, he looks like he like was boasting over the whole thing. I'm sure he basically probably even paraded the whole thing around and got himself into a big sticky situation. So, lesson to be learned there, if I am correct, which I wouldn't doubt it. Kind of play it low key. Don't act like a pompous ass if you win. I mean, does not justify this guy getting killed. They should have not gotten killed. Here's another depressing story. I don't know. I think my friend might have sent this to me, and you'll see why in a second. I'm sorry. I just got to post this. 40 funny pics to kick back and enjoy. I got to post that. That's not the story I wanted to read. It was depressing, though, by the way. I will need this thing. Something from E-Bomb's World. 40 pics to kick back on. It looked kind of funny, so I'm going to look at it later on when I'm done my show. Oh, by the way, if anybody is interested, that you can get it on iTunes, that DC Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, which is probably only the last one season from what I heard because it's really expensive to make. It's a good show. You can buy it for $30, the season pass on iTunes. I might give that a miss for now. I just can't afford it. I mean, you can watch these shows in its entirety if you go to it was the CW. I got it wrong. I thought it was Fox. You can get these on CW, and they're not going to cost you a dime to do that. So I might as well go that direction. You know what? I'm sorry. I lost my story, too, that I was talking about. Maybe I did. Because I forget what I was going to bring up that was depressing. Okay, I know which one it is now, so let me try to re-find it. Give me a moment. And again, you will see why once I mention it and once I find it again. Just trying to avoid finding too many stories in the process because that will make it more difficult. Oh, by the way, I'm kind of psyched a little bit. I'm not a big fan of it. It's on Saturday night, though. Selena Gomez is going to be hosting on Saturday Live with somebody else. I like Selena Gomez. There's nothing wrong with that, trust me. You can't put me in jail for that. Yeah, okay, it was another story on E-Bomb's World. It says, now, again, very depressing. Woman starts a GoFundMe to pay for her for the removal of, this is really important, she got all the money except $100. She wanted like $800 or so. The removal of her big mistake of getting 420 tattoos removed. So, yeah, and she got the money for it. She's not attractive at all. No, I'm not going to worry. She's got even a tattoo on her forehead. I mean, every inch of her body is covered with tattoos. Now she's, asking for people to pay for her removal of all 420 tattoos. Now, the one on her forehead reads the 420th tattoo on her freaking forehead. And idiots are actually giving her money to get these removed. And she's not even that attractive. That shouldn't even be the case, but you shouldn't be giving this woman money. This woman has made some bad decisions in her life, and now she's asking for you to pay for them. And guess what? People are paying for her to get this fixed. I mean, this is just... Now, this is really disgusting. That is extremely disgusting. Tabitha Renee West has made some pretty poor decisions in her life. One of these decisions was getting a large 420, that's the tattoo, 420 tattoo right in the middle of her forehead. She's now raising $800 on GoFundMe in order to pay for the tattoos removal. So, yeah, that really should be something I guess she's at least getting the one on her forehead removed, not all the rest. Either way, I think that's just ridiculous. I might as well just ask for money because I want to buy more toys, and I think I should open a GoFundMe account. And I think that everybody in this country should be paying for me to get these toys that I would probably want to have. Really, because is it any different than the woman who asked for money for breast implants, the woman who asked to get her money back in threefold or sevenfold for playing the lottery, her whole life savings, who had kids? or the woman who wants to get the tattoo off her forehead. I mean, that's not much different than what I would be asking for. Tabitha was weary of listing her troubles on GoFundMe in fear of people would be rude, which they should be, and hateful towards her. She said someone with a house fire told me about this site, and I thought I'd give it a try. Well, guess what? It's worked in her favor. Here's a statement by Tabitha posted on the page. I am a witty, and has G $ to get the tattoo off my head, and I want to get a better start out of life and have a second chance of life. Please help me. I'm a young and dumb. I don't know what that means. And dumb. Oh, okay. I guess instead of and, she put N. So she can't even type properly. And dumb. When I got that when I'm older, an older one looking for a job. I can't get out. And people call me a druggie every day of my life for being called the 420. Not nice, and I almost killed myself over it. Well, it's like, well, you got the money to get all these tattoos. Now you don't have the money, and you didn't think about getting this tattoo on your forehead before you went for looking for jobs. Nobody wants to hire her because they call her a druggie, and they call her nicknamed 420 because that's what she's got on her forehead. And she can't understand why. Can't stand to look at my face anymore. Save a life, save me, invest in me, and I will show you I can be better with my life. Thank you. And she's actually got a picture of a boyfriend who's got tattoos all over his body, and he's groping her breast. I'm not even kidding. Groping her breast, and she's got some publicity shot, and this is like in a public place because I see people in the background while they're getting this picture taken, and he's like literally got her hand under her shirt on her breast. He's got tattoos all over him, and she's got this tattoo on her head, trying to look like, like she's real tough with a 420 tattoo on her head. Now she's crying for money. I mean, it's ridiculous. Come on. Tabitha is just $100 away from her goal of raising $800, and if you feel like donating, you can and find her listing, and it says click here. So I'm going to look at that real quick, see how far she is. Already, she's actually at $900 of her $800, so she's actually over it. You know what? I hate to say this. This really just pisses me off. I'm serious. I'm going to talk to my one friend, Matt, and have him help me with this and say, if this kind of stupidity can get money, I might as well just try to ask for money and just use it for like a vacation, and I'll obviously be thinking about it, but I'm going to send my friend Matt, so he'll hear this, and he'll wonder why, but he will figure it out if he listens to my show. I mean, that's ridiculous that people are actually paying this kind of money out to this woman. I'm going to have to ask him, I'm doing it right now. I'm serious. I'm doing it right on while I'm doing this show. That's where you hear the clicking. Wait, I'm putting into it my friend Matt. Start a GoFundMe account like this. I mean, I find this absurd. I really do. There's no other way to put it. This is absurd. Again, it's because she's a female. She's not even like remotely attractive. She's like hideous looking. And all these people are giving her money. There was a person who gave her $20. Somebody gave her 21, 24, 31. I'm trying to see what somebody gave her 37. I can't help it. $56. Okay, somebody almost gave her $100. Some guy gave her $100. Somebody gave her $106. Somebody gave her $120, $132. Somebody actually almost gave her. Well, they gave her over $250. They gave her $265. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry. And I got to worry about the way I freaking spend money. Sorry, it just pisses me off, obviously. Anyway, the lighter note was at least I got some entertainment to watch tonight on TV. And I did try, I'm still working on, I was on the phone for 3.5 hours today just trying to call different doctors who, hospitals. I was like on the phone from everywhere, from Philadelphia, Horsham, anywhere around in Pennsylvania that can like help me out in my quest that I have a job, but I need to, I was been out of my job for a couple months. The only way I will be able to get back is if I get this psych evaluation test done. But nobody's going to help me about that, are they? But they're going to certainly give some woman money for breast augmentation, getting a tattoo removed off her forehead that says this is my 420th one. But something probably that's more frivolous, obviously. You're not going to have a person raise an eyebrow for that. Actually, on a lighter note, it was funny. I have to, kind of lighten the mood a little bit before I sign off tonight. I said I was going to do what I was determined, but I finally did it. I sat down because it's on Netflix. I'm paying for it every month. I might as well use it for something. Was a show I used to love, and then I just got lost interest because of the season breaks, and it was like, okay, I'm going to see how far I can get with it this time. I still want to do my shows. I got other things on my plate that I've been working on during the day. And it's like, okay, I'm going to definitely do this. I'm sorry, I'm trying to open up. That's why I hear my voice kind of, it's not opening up. Okay, it opened up because I'm ready to shut down soon. Was a show called Glee. Show is the best. I mean, it really was a really good show. It really was. It was on for 6 years. The last season was only 13 episodes. First season had 23 episodes. The rest of them had 22. But I love Glee. I thought that was a really entertaining show. Same guy who does American Horror Story, which I'm not too fond of that much. And also that Scream Queens was just plain god-awful. But yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes because I have to go through the whole thing again. I got I think up to the 3rd season originally. But I figured, you know what, I'm going to go through it again, but I'm going to have to start from day 1 because I can't remember. And I amazed myself because I couldn't remember anything. Now, the funny thing is, though, one of the guys in Glee died from a drug overdose, and I think it was an accidental one. And I remember one year I actually went to there was a Glee concert. It was the second time they ever put it on in Philadelphia, down in Philly, at Wachovia Center. I think it was then. Is it still the Wachovia Center, or was it the Wachovia Center when I went? I can't remember now. And that was the greatest concert I ever went to. It was great. I love this show. Like I said, I just got tired of it, taking their breaks and stuff, so I just lost interest just on that fact alone. So I don't like getting into TV shows until they're over. I was watching the first 2 episodes. I was like, oh my God, I should have gotten back to watching this earlier because I think it just finished last year. But it was really good. And then it was ironic because I think just recently there was another guy from Glee. He actually, I think, got arrested for child porn, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure, but I swear I heard that. So it's a shame because these actors on that show were really good actors. Really good, very talented. And, they just, after, I guess from all the fame they got from the show, they kind of got by the wayside. And the one I think was a real waste of talent because she's very, very talented was Leah Michaels. I love her. She was on Scream Queens. And hold on one moment. I'm going to see if I can, make sure because I want to just be able to end this show then. So give me another pause minute. Hold on. Alrighty. Okay, I'm back. Just making sure for another thing. And, Leah Michaels, I forgot how talented she was because I watched her on that crappy Scream Queens where she plays a total dope. And it's like, okay, you won from Glee where you showed that you are truly a very talented actress. You're a great, incredible singer, to doing this piece of dog shit Scream Queens, which just really just degrades her as an actress and as a singer. But because honestly, Glee was a campy kind of show in some ways, but it was also showed these people's talents. They were very talented, especially Leah Michaels, and it's just a shame. And the same people who do American Horror Story and Scream Queens obviously started out by doing Glee, and Glee could have lasted a lot longer. I don't know what happened. I think things fell apart. And because obviously the third season was only 15 episodes, so something happened. But when that show was at its peak, it literally was at its peak. It was the best show you could watch for an hour once a week. So that was just a shame. I'm gonna cut this off, like I said, because it's after 4 in my time. So and everybody's crying about this storm, and I have to do more calling and setting up for appointments for, what I need to do to get back to my job. So, everyone, hope you enjoyed my show. If you do listen, thanks a lot. If not, try to encourage other people to listen to me. And, it's getting all over the place now because I'm trying to hit over on my keyboard, shut it down. Thanks a lot, and good morning, everyone. This is iWalter from Walter. I'm signing off for now.